He's also worked with Superior Farm with Dorsets, also Macaulay Tunis, and a new venture. Macaulay's are getting into the Valet Blacknose.
Well, good morning here in the Sheep Barn. Certainly a pleasure to be back with you today for your Natural Colored show this morning. Nice start here with our lone entry yearling ram, a ram that's got some size and scale to him. Really a nice fleece about him, very uniform, a lot of luster about it, just an awfully nice fleece in him. And then, again, some growth in that ram, really good in terms of a level in his top line. Just a nice entry here. Let's give him a round of applause as we get started. Congratulations.
Placing on the yearling ram class for our Natural Colored show, first place goes to entry number 11784, Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. That ram weighing 250 pounds, Imperial Red 1714. Now ready for senior ram lambs.
I think a really high-quality pair of fall rams here as we get into these natural colors. And I think, again, both of them very growthy and some look and some appeal about them in terms of their show ring presence. for me, maybe what sorts him. Just a little stouter made one here to lead off with, maybe just a little more substance and dimension about him. But boy, both of them tie in their shoulder nice. Both fleeces presented extremely well with a lot of character and luster about both of them. I think that's a nice pair. Congratulations here.
Our next class will be Junior Ram Lambs. Placings on the class of Senior Ram Lambs. First place in Open First and Junior to entry 1871, Wolf 23-156, Black Label, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ram weighing 279. Second place to 1872, Wolf 22071, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. That ram weighing 243.
Really a nice set of spring lambs here for our natural colored show. Just again, as we said, maybe in the next couple of those Romney classes, just very good all the way through. There's a couple down there that got really good fleeces about them. Everybody is sound in terms of their feet and legs. I think just an awfully nice group here to sort through. We get into a couple, 2 or 3 here that are my favorites, and of that trio, just a real flashy one to lead off with. Very up-fronted and just neat in terms of his design. He's not my favorite fleeced one here, but I think he's adequate there in his fleece in terms of uniformity. Just a buck that looks like he's going to continue to grow and make a big old yearling. Maybe if you're going to get real critical of him, maybe just like to have him just have a little more depth and volume to him today, but that's being pretty critical of one that has grown up and done a really nice job in terms of just holding himself together for as big and as neat as he is. I think this is an awfully nice one. The next one comes to him, and he pushes on him pretty hard from a top-shaped dimension. I think that one is just really good in terms of his handle, in terms of his hip structure. Maybe not as flashy fronted, maybe not quite as lengthy as we have in that class winner, but he's got some substance of bone underneath him. He's got some fineness of fleece about him. I think this a nice one to follow up in second with. Our third one, very striking in terms of color pattern. That white is very bright, and I like that. I don't know if you washed it or not, but it's very bright in terms of the white. That buck has got some fineness about his fleece that I like quite a bit. I think he pushes on them pretty hard there, just in a fleece standpoint. For me, maybe today, maybe just not as much of him in terms of top shape dimension compared to those first two, but really good on his feet and legs, really good in motion. And as we get him to relax and stand here, he just paints a really nice picture here for us. Ram in fourth, maybe just runs out of sheep compared to those 3, but some nice pieces in him. Big hip in that sheep, a big pin set in that sheep, stands up on a nice set of feet and legs. Maybe shortens up just a nickel in length from those 3 that get ahead of him, but really a nice one there. Get into his fleece, very uniform. You part that dark chocolate, gets really dark down deep and very lustrous. I think an awfully nice one there to go into 4. And then a big rugged one we round out the top 5 with here, and maybe didn't want to move around the ring quite as nicely as the young girls would have liked him to. I think he's okay, though, where he puts his feet on all 4 corners. He has some substance in terms of his top shape. I think another nice one to lead us off into that 5th hole. Good class all the way through, guys. Congratulations on a nice set.
Our next class will be pair ram lambs. Pair ram lambs will be your next class. Placing on the Junior Ram Lamb class, first in the Junior Show, to entry 1879, Scotch Lane 0952, Tidal Wave, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut, that ram weighing 187. Second place to entry number 1876, Harris 0507, Connor Priest, Ludlow, Massachusetts, that ram weighing 168. Third place to 1877, Schwartz and Tolley, Hunt, New York, that ram weighing 190. Fourth place to 11785, Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. Fifth place to 1881, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Sixth place to 1880, also Kara Jingalewski. Seventh place to entry 1875, Schwartz and Tolley, Hunt, New York. Eighth place to entry 11786, Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. And 9 to 1883, Maybe Tomorrow Farm, Christopher Hopkins, Chepachet, Rhode Island. Placing on the Parabraham Lamb class, first place to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. Third, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. And 4 to Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valentine, New York. Now ready to show for Open Show Champion and Reserve Champion Ram.
Well, ringside here, let's put our hands together for our natural colored breeders as they bring out our first place and seconds for our champion and reserve. I think a real nice show here. Maybe not a tremendous amount of numbers, but really a good set as we get them back out here for champion and reserve. I think you could go a couple different directions and be right with this. This pair of spring lambs, I think you could run with that pair, just real fancy, good fleeced ones. You could run with this pair of fall lambs, a little more robust, maybe a little more massive in terms of their build today, and rightly so. And if you want to talk some fleece, that yearling ram, I think, pushes them pretty hard just in terms of fleece quality here. So some give or take in those. For me today, I'm going to run with both of those fall rams. I think just a big, massive one here to lead off with, and then a real fancy one with a nice fleece to be in that reserve hole. Let's give them a big round of applause. Congratulations.
Our Open Show Champion Ram goes to entry 1871 out of the Senior Ram Lamb class. Wolf, 23-156, Black Label, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. And that is also our Junior Show Champion Ram. The Reserve Open Show Champion Ram was 1872, second in that Senior Ram Lamb class. Wolf, 22071, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. We now need to show for Reserve Junior Show Champion. So we need Morgan Syme to bring Scotch Lane 0952 into the ring, please. And our Junior Show Reserve Champion Ram went to our first place Junior Ram Lamb, entry 1879, Scotch Lane 0952, Tidal Wave, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. We're now ready for yearling ewes, natural colored yearling ewes. While we're getting that class lined up in the makeup area, that yearling ewe class, which is pretty good size, let's go ahead and recognize week 2 of our display contest. So in 4th place, and also the display designated as the most creative, we have Someday Soon Farm, Sarah Jakeman, Kanajahari, New York. In 3rd place, and also the best program directed at the public, we have O'Keefe Brothers, Show Sheep of Marlborough, Connecticut. In 2nd place, and also the one designated as best usage of signage, Ravenwood Farm, Melissa Trojanowski of Terryville, Connecticut. And 1st place and best promotion of wool, Wild Air Farm, Carol Airy, Bolton, Connecticut. And if you folks will come up and get your awards, Debbie's got them up here. And folks, if you've not looked at those displays, please go down through that main aisleway and check those out. They're really nice. Natural colored sheep in general consist of several different breeds or combinations of those breeds. Generally, the breeds are wool type breeds, but that isn't to say some parentage can't be a meat breed. The natural colored designation was the result of many breed registries not allowing natural colored sheep in their breeds to be registered. However, today, a few wool breed registries have amended their bylaws to allow for natural colored animals to also be registered. At one time, we'd have 4 different divisions of natural colored based on the type of wool. Today, because a lot of those registries have allowed the long wools and some of the coarse wools to register the natural colored along with their whites, we are down to the fines and the medium divisions, and we combine those two together here. However, first question in the trivia contest, back in 2009, 15 years ago, we did divide all those classes. And in that year, I want to know the name of the exhibitor that had the reserve champion ram this is in the fine division, the reserve champion ram, and also exhibited the supreme fleece in the overall fleece portion of the show, as well as best fleeced in their show, premier exhibitor, premier breeder. Again, that's 2009, 15 years ago. In the fine division, they had the supreme champion fleece, which we'll get to tomorrow afternoon. Whenever we do our supreme ram and supreme ewe, we do pick a supreme fleece. They had the supreme fleeced animal, as well as best fleeced in the fine division, premier exhibitor, premier breeder, and they had reserve champion ram. These sheep traveled a long way to get here. That's right. It was Mendenhall. Okay, in that same year, in 2009, in the medium division, we had an exhibitor that had the champion ram and the champion, or reserve, pardon me, the champion ram, and they also had, I'll take that back. That's all they had, champion ram. Thought I had a little more there. I apologize. All right, exhibitor in the medium division with the champion ram from Ohio. The answer to that would have been Belmar Farm, or the Paulus grandsons. That same year, tell me who had the champion U in the medium division, and it went on to be supreme champion U overall in the welterweight. That's right, it was Catherine.
this class is kind of like playing a good game of pool. You find a ball that you want to hit, and then all of a sudden things move around, and you can't strike quite as nicely. I think this group of females is really, really good. There's a lot of differences in them, a lot of different pieces and parts, but certainly a really good group of just big, statured females. The fleeces maybe on the top end here, maybe there's a couple down here that may push them a little harder for that reason. I think that we get into a trio of just big old powerful type ewes that have to kind of maybe be in this running for me here. And then of that trio, I think we set them into motion, and that female that leads off just has a little more balance about her, just a little more neatness in terms of motion of what she does with her shoulder, her hip, the center body of her. I think this is awfully good. We get into her fleece. Sometimes we get those white ones that kind of go back and forth there with quality, maybe not quite as uniform as maybe a couple of them that come in a little later here, but big hipped ewe with a big top in her, and then I think in movement, I think she gets them by a couple clicks here. The big ewe here that has got some extra length aside, which I love. Really a neat stretch about her front end, a lot of femininity about her. Again, fleece quality maybe in that gray area of being maybe not the most ideal here, but boy, is she good topped, and she's not quite as massive in terms of her dimension as that lead off ewe. She's got just an extra shot of length about her, and I think she pushes that lead ewe pretty good. Maybe in motion she didn't want to carry herself quite as nice today, but really a nice pair of big bodied ewes. Real square edged one here comes to us in third, and a little darker, a little harder to get in there and tell that fleece, but I think there's a little more fineness about her fleece than we have in those two that lead off. She's got some substance of bone underneath her. She shortens up a nickel compared to those two. Maybe like to stretch her out. Maybe could give her just a little more femininity about her front end compared to those first two. But the big time ewe there with a big top shape about her. A little smaller ewe here comes to us in 4, but again, really sound in motion, really good in terms of her hip structure. Again, maybe just to run out of sheep compared to those 3, but up on her toes, moves around the ring free and easy with a nice fleece about her. We get into this next ewe, maybe wants to get just a little bolder in her front end, wants to drop her chest floor to the ground, just a nickel, but really rugged in her bone, very striking when they get her when they get her stopped in the picture that she paints. I love her head. I think just a nice one to go into 5th hole. And then we got the chocolate ewe here in 6. I told them to keep her on the side profile. There's the best fleece one, I think, of this whole lineup. And I really appreciate that. The fleece, the preparation of it is tremendous. It's very soft, and you get into that, you part that chocolate, and it gets dark and very lustrous down deep. She gets a little finer in her feature. Maybe like to stouten her up in her foot size if we could. Maybe just give her just a little more look about her. But boy, an awfully nice female with some growth about her. That's a real good class. Work down here, there's some ewes that are very neat bodied. That 7th ewe, really a nice bodied ewe. Maybe gets just a little bit finer in her bone dimension. Maybe her fleece stable could be a little longer to read, but she's big hipped and good topped. That's a great class. Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations.
Next class will be pair yearling ewes. Placing on the class of yearling ewes, first in open, first in the junior show to 1892, Scotch Lane, 858, Killer Queen, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ewe weighs 264. Second place to entry number 1890, Wolf, 23124, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. That ewe weighs 275. Third to entry 1888, Becky Ridgway, Libertytown, Maryland. That U weighs 257. Fourth place, second in the junior show to 1894, Scotch Lane, 868, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Fifth place to entry number 1897, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Sixth place to entry 11787, Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. Seventh place to 1893, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. Eighth place to 1895, Schwartz and Tully. 9 to entry 1896, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. 10th place to entry 1891, Kara Jingalewski. And 11th place to 117888, Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. Now ready for Senior ewe lambs. Placing on the pair of yearling ewes, first place went to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Third to Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. 4 to Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valletie, New York. And fifth place to Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. 10 years ago at the Natural Colored Show, we were showing fines and mediums together. We'd made that, narrowed the numbers down. I want to know who the exhibitor was that had the first place breeder's flock, first place get of sire, was named the premier exhibitor and the premier breeder at that show. 10 years ago, 2014. And the answer to that question from 10 years ago, the exhibitor with the breeder's flock, get of sire, premier exhibitor, and premier breeder was Kara Jingalewski.
Real nice set of females here in our fall ewe lambs, senior ewe lambs here for our natural colored. And again, some differences floating through them there, maybe just in build and type and kind. I think a kind of a combination sheep here of some size and scale, very square edged and certainly big topped, a lot of rib and dimension about her, and then nice set of feet and legs underneath her as well. Get into her fleece, very well prepared and very uniform. I think just an awfully neat one to lead off with here for us. One that resembles her quite a bit here in second, maybe not as massive today, maybe not quite as big in terms of her ruggedness of a bone, but some look about that one. She paints a nice picture. Really neat about her fleece. Very dark, very uniform, some fineness floating in there as well. Maybe not, like we said, not as stout in terms of her feature, but certainly neat one in terms of her design and look. We'll keep those two together just from a look standpoint here for us. The chocolate ewe comes to us in third, and she's a really nice fleeced one, and again, very well prepared with some fineness in her as well. In motion, she maybe just doesn't hold herself together maybe quite as nice as those first two ewes do, but she's got some ruggedness of bone about her. She's a little greener, a little more immature maybe as she continues to develop. Looks like she's going to be a big old yearling ewe here for us, but really a nice fleece about her. Real pretty pattern ewe comes to us in four. Well, she's dead level in her top and her hip. I love that one's just build and her design for her. She shortens up just a nickel, maybe gets a little finer in her feature compared to a couple of them. She's got some fineness in her fleece, though. You get to looking at it, it's pretty uniform. The staple length's maybe just a little short to actually get a full read, but I think there's some fineness there, and she's certainly built good. And we got a bigger ewe that we round out the top five with that from the side doesn't balance quite as neatly as a couple of them, but certainly has some ruggedness about her in terms of her footwork. Get into her fleece, and again, I think very nice. Good class all the way through. Let's give them a big round of applause. Congratulations.
Our next class will be the selection of our Open Show Senior Champion and Reserve Senior Champion ewe. Placing on the class of senior ewe lambs for our natural colored show, first in the junior show, goes to entry 1904, Pines Inn Natural Coloreds 23-51, Believe. Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ewe weighed 233. Second place to 1907, Huckowitz 2404, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. That ewe weighed 221. Third place to 11790, Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. That ewe weighed 154. Fourth place to entry 1902, Schwartz and Tully, Tunis, Hunt, New York. Fifth place to entry 1903, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Sixth place to 11789, Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. And seventh place to entry 1905, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York.
We'll get them back out here for that senior champion here in our natural color. Just put our hands together for these 4 exhibitors. I think, again, really a nice set here for us to sort through. I might get locked up by the wool police here by doing this. And I think these 2 dark ones in this fall ewe lamb are better fleeced. And I'm not going to have any bones about that. I think they're better fleeced. I think this big old pair of yearling ewes, though, are so good-bodied, and we put them into motion, and they set their feet where they're supposed to. I'm going to use these 2 yearling ewes. I know their fleeces are not as good as these dark ones, but I think they're really big-bodied, real sound ewes that just have a lot of good about them. We can find rams that have better fleeces to breed them to. We're going to use both those yearling ewes today. Congratulations, nice pair.
Open show senior champion ewe goes to the first place yearling ewe. Entry number 1892, Scotch Lane, 858, Killer Queen, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The open show reserve senior champion ewe goes to the second place yearling ewe, 1890, Wolf, 23124, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Now ready for intermediate ewe lambs. Okay, we're going to go back to 2014 again, 10 years ago, for this next question. And this question, I want to know the exhibitor of the reserve champion ram and the champion ewe at that 2014 natural colored fine medium show. The reserve champion ram and the champion ewe. They are exhibiting here at the show today, just not in this class. And the answer to that question from 2014, the exhibitor with the reserve champion ram and the champion ewe in the natural colored fine medium show, was Chris Hopkins from Rhode Island.
Real nice set of intermediate ewe lambs here for our natural colored, and I think a big old stout ewe here on top, and really one that is just really bold and just massive kind of everywhere, yet she's got some femininity up through her front end, get into her fleece, and it's very well prepared and very uniform. I think a big boned ewe just can't really get around her today, just in terms of size and scale. Then we set her into motion. She tracks pretty good for us. If we're going to ding her just a nickel, maybe like to just raise her tail setup if we could just a little bit, but certainly bold in terms of her rib and her body. I think this is an awfully nice one to lead off with. Our next one, the young people are having just a little trouble getting this one programmed here for us. But when she settles in, just an awfully nice ewe in terms of appearance, in terms of appeal, and then she's got some fineness about her fleece. I think a neat one, and one that's going to read to be an awfully big yearling ewe come next year. She gives up just a little bit of that dimension that we have in that first ewe, but just an awfully fancy piece there to go to. My favorite fleece one here is in third, and this one just runs out of sheep compared to the two ahead of her, but really a fancy picture she paints. She really stands up on a nice set of feet and legs, maybe gets a little finer, maybe doesn't have as much fluff wool down there on her legs compared to a couple of them, but really good about her fleece and some fineness about her, a lot of uniformity as she works back in through her britch. I think that's an awfully nice ewe to go into third hole. Fourth and fifth, some give or take there. I think both of them upstanding females that have some appearance about them. Both their fleeces are in really good condition. Some fineness in this one. I think she keeps a little more fineness as she comes back in through her britch than maybe that one that ends up into fifth. The one in fifth, boy, she paints a tremendous picture here from the side, and read that one to be a great big yearling ewe come next year as she continues to grow. She just is not as massive as a couple of them ahead of her today, but really a nice one there. And then a pair down there that are very good as well. Good class all the way through. Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations.
Next class is Junior Ewe Lambs. Placing on the class of intermediate ewe lambs for our natural colored show, first place goes to entry 1908, Pines Inn Natural Coloreds 24-01, Amber Rose, Becky Ridgway, Liberty Town, Maryland. Second place, and that ewe weighed 176. Second place to 1911, S&T 68, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. That ewe weighed 145. Third place to 11791, Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. That ewe weighing 105. Fourth place to entry 1914, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Fifth place to entry 11792, Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. Sixth place to 1912, Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. And seventh place to entry 1909, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Final trivia question. From 2019, 5 years ago, name the two exhibitors that more or less dominated the natural colored show. They won the Champion Ram and Reserve, Champion Ewe and Reserve, the Exhibitor's Flock, Breeder's Flock, Get of Sire, Best Fleece, Premier Exhibitor, and Premier Breeder. Two different exhibitors. Name those two different exhibitors. Okay, it was Huckowitz's and Symes. So Andrew and Emmy and Morgan.
Another really neat set of females here for our natural coloreds and our junior ewe lambs. And again, some slight differences here, but the whole class just very, very good in terms of just body and fleece. There's some down in here that maybe their better days are to come here yet as they continue to mature and grow into their body. There's a few of them that are in, you can tell, growth spurts that maybe don't hold themselves together on the move quite as nice. They're acting like ewe lambs this morning, kind of wanting to roach their top up as we move them around the ring. But certainly a nice group here. I dig that first one a whole bunch. I think just a neat sheep no matter what breed she is. I think just a big ribbed, big hipped, big top shape in that sheep. Glides around the ring like they're supposed to, and then I think got a tremendous fleece. Got some fineness about it, very, very uniform, a lot of luster about it. Just a real neat one there to lead off with. Bigger ewe here in second that may be going to push her just from a size and scale standpoint. I don't think maybe as much balance about her from the side as we have in that ewe that we lead off with, but very sound on her feet and legs. Maybe going to be the bigger yearling ewe of the two if you're going to gauge one, but I think a real nice one to go into two there. Baby ewe lamb here in third. I dig that one a bunch for as immature and as young as she is. She's just really rugged in terms of her bone. She's really good on the move. She paddles those front feet extremely good. Her chest floor and shoulder design is really good. I read her to be a great big one come next year here for us. She doesn't today have as much top shape and mass as we have in those first two, but I like that one a bunch. I think she's good in her hip. She's got some extra length about her, just an awfully nice piece. The next one comes to us. She just kind of faults into this slot after those three. Just a big, bold sheep in terms of her top shape. Maybe not as fancy and as feminine as we have in those first three. Maybe shortens up just a nickel, but just a nice one there. Fleece structure-wise, get into some of that white. Maybe doesn't stay quite as uniform as a couple of them do, but really a neat one in terms of her top. And then we round out the top five with one that I think is the best fleeced one here by a couple of clicks. Really good in terms of her fineness, really good in terms of her uniformity back in through her breech especially. And then we talk about just the body style could just be a little bit squarer in terms of her build, maybe squarer up in her hip structure, but very sound on her feet and legs. Good class. Let's give them a big round of applause. Congratulations.
Your next class will be pair of ewe lambs. Pair ewe lambs will be your next class. Placing on the Junior Ewe Lamb class, first place in open, first in the junior show to 1917. Scotch Lane, 951, Black Pearl. Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ewe weighed 169. Second in the open, second in the junior show to 1915. Scotch Lane, 950, Spicy. Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. That ewe weighed 175. Third place to 1919, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. That ewe weighed 146. 4 to entry 1918, Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Fifth place to entry 1922, Maybe Tomorrow Farm, Christopher Hopkins, Chepachet, Rhode Island. Sixth place to 1916, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Seventh place to 1920, Schwartz and Tolley, Hunt, New York. Eighth place to 1921, Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. 9 to 11793, Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. 10 to 1174, also Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. Placing on the pair of ewe lamb class, first place goes to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. Third to Schwartz and Tully, Hunt, New York. Fourth place to Lindsey Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. And fifth to Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Now ready to show for Open Show Junior Champion and Reserve Junior Champion ewe.
As we get these four junior ewe lambs back out here, or younger ewe lambs, if you will, let's give them a round of applause here. I think just four high-end ones here that just bring a lot to the table for natural colored sheep here for us. For me, the two class winners is where it's between here for us, and I think just in terms of a build and body dimension standpoint, the big ewe has a lot to offer there, no doubt. As we said in class, I'd like to just raise her pin set up and just make her just a little square in her hip structure, and that's where the baby ewe lamb kind of gets her there. I think a really complete ewe with a big hip and pin set in her. This later one will be our junior champion. We'll come back and get this earlier one for reserve. Nice pair. Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations.
Open Show Junior Champion ewe goes to entry number 1917. Out of the Junior Ewe Lamb class, Scotch Lane, 951, Black Pearl, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The Reserve Junior Champion goes to 1908 from the Intermediate Ewe Lamb class, Pines Inn Natural Colored, 24-01, Amber Rose, Becky Ridgway, Liberty Town, Maryland. Now ready to show for Open Show Grand and Reserve Grand Champion U.
We get back out here for champion and reserve overall in the natural colors. Let's give our exhibitors a big round of applause here. I think a real nice show, really a nice female show here. We get these four back out here, and I think they're stellar. I think, like we talked about in that senior drive, that Perry Yearling U's just a robust and big and sound with just a lot of look and femininity about them. And also, like we talked about, I know they're not the two best fleeced ones in the barn. We get into this pair of ewe lambs, just a super complete one here to lead off in our junior champion with a big hip, and then a great big robust ewe. And I think both of these are probably better fleeced than these two yearling ewes. But I'm telling you, when we get a pair of yearling ewes that are this sound and big, I'm going to run with them. I think they're just an awfully good pair. Let's give our yearling ewes a big round of applause. They'll be champion and reserve.
Grand Champion U goes to 1892, our senior champion U, first in the yearling U class, Scotch Lane, 858, Killer Queen, Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. The reserve grand champion was our reserve senior champion U, 1890, second in that yearling U class, Wolf, 23124. Emmy and Andrew Huckowitz, Hadley, Massachusetts. We now need to select a reserve junior show champion, as that grand champion U, 1892 from Morgan Syme, was also our junior show champion. To select our reserve junior show champion, we need that fourth place out of the yearling U class, Scotch Lane 868. We need our senior U lamb class winner, Pines Inn Natural Colored 2351 from Morgan Syme. And we also need 1917 class, which was Scotch Lane 951 Black Pearl in the ring. our junior show reserve champion ewe goes to our junior ewe lamb class winner, 1917 Scotch Lane 951 Black Pearl Morgan Syme of South Windsor, Connecticut. This time we're showing exhibitors flock. Placing on the exhibitors flock, first place goes to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to S. Schwartzenthaler, Hunt, New York. Third place to Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. And fourth place to Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Your next class is Breeders' Flock. After Breeders' Flock, we will show Get of Sire and then Best Fleeced Natural Colored Animal. Placing on the Breeders' Flock, first place goes to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to Schwartz and Tolly, Hunt, New York. And third place to Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts. Now ready for Get of Sire. Again, following Get of Sire, we will have a Best Fleeced Natural Colored Animal class. Placing on the Get of Sire class, first place goes to Morgan Syme, South Windsor, Connecticut. Second place to Schwartz and Tolly, Hunt, New York. Third place to Kara Jingalewski, Southwick, Massachusetts, and 4 to Lindsay Drum and Caroline Lafferty, Valatia, New York. We are now ready for Best Fleeced Natural Colored Animal. Best Fleeced Animal, please. Again, we're now showing Best Fleeced Natural Colored Animal. And our Best Fleeced Animal goes to entry number 1911 from the Intermediate Ewe Lamb class, S&T 68, Schwartz and Tolley, Hunt, New York. And our Premier Exhibitor and Premier Breeder Award goes to the same exhibitor, and that's Morgan Syme of South Windsor, Connecticut. So, Morgan, if you'll come and get your awards, that does conclude our morning show. Our judge has been Evan Snyder from Pennsylvania.